All right, guys, I'm back with another good video for you. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
If you shine a laser beam right at a spider's eyes, the light's going to mess up its retina. Once the spider feels threatened, it drops its egg sac and bolts for it. At that point, hundreds of little baby spiders are going to scatter everywhere. You might be tempted to just stomp on them, but these little dudes are tiny. They'll just tuck themselves into the cracks of your furniture until they're big enough to start laying their own eggs. If you try flushing one down the toilet, most people think it's going to drown right away. But spiders can actually trap air bubbles around their bodies to survive underwater. So that spider is going to crawl right through your pipes until it finds a sweet spot in the sewer to set up shop and lay hundreds of eggs. Once they hatch, they'll climb back through the pipes, and eventually they're going to take over your whole house. Now, if you spray a wolf spider with bug killer, the chemicals will start breaking down its exoskeleton. But right before it kicks the bucket, it's going to twitch like crazy. That shakes loose all the hundreds of babies that were riding on its back. And since these little guys are so small, the bug spray won't even affect them. So instead of wiping out one invader, you just ended up releasing hundreds of spiders into your home.
This is 1 ton of gold, and these are 10 piles of chocolate. One of the piles contains deadly poison chocolates. If you can eat the other 9 piles, the gold is yours. But there's one problem. You don't want to die. Here's what you know. Each pile contains 10 chocolates. Every normal chocolate weighs 10 grams, while each poison chocolate weighs 11 grams. That extra 1 gram is your only clue. At first, you might think of weighing the piles one by one with an electronic scale. If you're lucky, you'll find the poison pile on the first try. Even with the worst luck, it would take at most 9 weighings. That makes winning a ton of gold seem far too easy. So the rules change. You may use the scale only once, but you're a genius. You number the 10 piles from 1 to 10. Then you take 1 chocolate from pile 1, 2 chocolates from pile 2, 3 from pile 3, and so on, until you take 10 chocolates from pile 10. In total, you collect 55 chocolates and place them all on the scale. If every chocolate were normal, the total weight would be 55 times 10 equals 550 grams. But if the poison pile is included, every poison chocolate weighs 1 gram more. For example, if the scale reads 558 grams, that's 8 grams heavier than expected. Since you took 8 chocolates from pile 8, those 8 extra grams must have come from pile 8. That means pile 8 is the poisoned one. With just 1 weighing, you've identified the poisoned pile with perfect accuracy. This is the classic coding by weighing strategy. Congratulations, you've just won 1 ton of gold.
This guy takes a bell and puts it in a vacuum chamber, and then he pounds this bell as hard as he possibly can, and he cannot hear a thing. Now pay very close attention to what happens when he adds air back into the...
And as we let the air in, now I think you can hear the bell quite clearly. And that's a very nice experiment to demonstrate how air is needed for the transmission of sound.
You see, what happens is sound is literally just particles vibrating through the air to get to the person hearing the sound. So if there's nothing in the air for the sound wave to pass through, then the sound wave can't travel. So sound cannot travel in a vacuum. With this being said, why don't we listen to this? So he's in the void of outer space, but you can literally hear him like clanking metal up against the ISS. How does that make any logical sense? My theory is that they are actually underwater and LARPing being in space. Why don't you listen to this clip of someone scuba diving? It sounds exactly the same, doesn't it? And funny enough, in Austin, Texas, they train astronauts underwater. They LARP being in space by being underwater in Austin, Texas. Must be a coincidence. But I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes only. Of course, sound can travel in a vacuum.
What do you guys think?
Watch closely. Installing a yard light at home? First, lay down a waterproof sheet at the bottom to prevent moisture. Then place the anchor cage. Pour concrete, create the base support. Next, add the mold and fill it completely with concrete, building a strong one-piece foundation. After the concrete fully cures, remove the mold. Pre-install conduit pipes inside the base, making future wiring much easier. Finally, Finally, install the light pole, adjust it to the correct level, and even a Category 17 Typhoon won't knock it down. 2. Overlap 2 wooden strips in an offset pattern. Secure them temporarily with U-shaped clips. Then attach U-shaped brackets diagonally onto the wood, creating a sliding adjustment bracket. Using the self-locking force of the angled bracket, mount it onto the lamp support, and the light height can be adjusted up and down. Once locked, it won't slide at all. 3. Mount a U-shaped bracket onto a wall panel. Install threaded rods on both ends of the bracket. Attach angled soft tubes to match the openings and use them to store cutting discs, securely held in place and easier to access. 4. Mark the width of the brick on a wooden board. Then drive nails into both sides of the mark in an offset pattern. Cut off the nail tips, tie a string onto one of the nails, and you've made a handy bricklaying guide tool.
You guys get you a good tip from that?
After being wounded, an African soldier would place army ants directly onto the injury, allowing their powerful jaws to bite down on the edges of the wound and clamp the torn skin tightly together. He would then twist off the ants' bodies, leaving only their heads and mandibles behind, creating tiny natural stitches to hold the wound closed. He would repeat this process until enough ants were attached to firmly secure the wound, then wait for it to slowly heal over time. He would also cover the injury with spider webs before wrapping it with a bandage and returning to the battlefield. The spider webs could help absorb blood, slow down bleeding, and some of their natural protein components may support the wound's recovery. Meanwhile, some American soldiers used maggots to treat severe wounds on the battlefield. They would place maggots on the injured area, allowing them to remove dead and decaying tissue before cleaning and bandaging the wound. Since maggots mainly feed on dead tissue and usually avoid healthy skin, they could help reduce harmful bacteria and create better conditions for the wound to heal.
That's pretty nasty, really. But I guess you do what you gotta do in certain times.
Before fancy tools, people solved problems like this. 1. Add a weight brick behind the iron plow to increase the downward pressure. No ox or machine needed. One person can make a trench smoothly. 2. When burying wooden posts outdoors, wrap a piece cut from a plastic bottle around the post base. It blocks moisture and keeps the wood from rotting. 3. Before working in the field, fill a plastic bag with some clean water. After work, wash your feet right away so you won't drag mud into your shoes. 4. Don't panic when the power goes out. Pour some rice into a cup, add water and cooking oil, insert a cotton swab and light it, and you've got an emergency lamp. 5. Cut off one side of a T-joint pipe, fix it onto the broken broom head, then use hot glue to connect the long handle, and the broom is perfectly repaired. 6. If the railing base breaks, don't replace it. Make a load-bearing base first, then place a mold around it and secure it. Pour in cement mortar. Once the cement fully hardens, remove the mold and a strong, durable cement support base is done. 7. Who would have thought a balloon can work as a simple toe protector? Slip it over your toe, trim it short, and tie a knot. Now it works as an anti-bump cushion. 8. The hose opening is too wide and it won't hold firmly. Cut off a small piece of hose. Slice one vertical opening on the side, insert it into the hose as a liner. The liner reduces the fitting gap so the hose can stay firmly in place.
I like that hose idea. I'll have to remember that one.
Do you know what to do if your brakes fail while you're driving? Most people would do something that could actually get them killed. A lot of people say you should swerve into the guardrail to stop. Fatal mistake. Others say to open the door and jump out of the car. Terrible idea. You could die. Some people yank the parking brake hard and fast. That's even worse. The car could flip over. I'm going to show you exactly what to do if your brakes fail. If this video helps you, drop a like and follow for more. When your brakes fail, first turn on your hazard lights immediately so other drivers know something's wrong. Hold the steering wheel firmly with one hand to keep the car from swerving. With your other hand, grab the mechanical parking brake. Keep the release button pressed and pull up, then release repeatedly. Pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. This creates gradual braking instead of a sudden lockup that could flip the car. The vehicle will come to a controlled, safe stop without rolling over. Never slam the brake on all at once and never jump out of the car. Remembering these simple steps can genuinely make the difference and help you stay in control until you come to a complete stop. Save this video.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be jumping out of the car. I mean, hopefully your emergency brake works.
Watch this. Foam, stencil, cut, easy moves, but with purpose. That little chunk removed with care sets the stage for a custom fit. Slip it over the pipe, twist to find the bend, then mark and stencil again with confidence. Each angle clean, sharp, and precise, like it was made in a factory. Wrap the rest around the pipe, layer by layer, no gaps, no guesswork. It lines up smooth, hugs every curve, and locks in tight. Just thoughtful, clean installation and satisfying pro-level.
Yeah, that does look like a professional job.
Normal things you use wrong every single day. Your smartphone panel. Stop swiping down twice with one finger to reach your flashlight and Wi-Fi. Swipe down with 2 fingers instead. It instantly expands your entire quick settings panel in a fraction of a second. Cleaning spray bottles. Stop wiping the liquid away immediately. It completely blocks the chemicals from killing bacteria. You must let it sit for 30 seconds of dwell time to actually sanitize the surface. Ice cream scoops. Forcing a dry, cold metal scoop straight into a hard tub is difficult and bends your wrist. Instead, dip the scoop in warm water and shake off excess to slice through smoothly like butter. Pet food bowls. Stop topping off dry kibble day after day without scrubbing the dish. Old food oils stick to the sides and turn completely rancid, breeding dangerous bacteria. Wash them daily, just like human dishes. Applying sunscreen. Stop putting sunscreen on right before stepping into the sun. Sunscreen requires 20 minutes to chemically bond with your skin cells. Without that wait time, your skin burns before the barrier even activates.
There was a couple of handy things in there that I didn't know. What about you guys?
Right, talk to me. Make one popcorn. What do you mean make one pop? Is that enough oil for... Are you taking the bloody bit? Not another one of these videos. I don't have the patience or the time for this crap. I'm sorry, but was it butter? You can't even keep it in the hole up. Oh, for the love of everything. It's not even going to expand. It needs its friends and its family around it to expand and show you how big it gets. Do you know what I mean? You got to touch it long enough. The butter's disappeared. Maybe you need to add a little bit more butter. Not like a pinch of salt. Are we even going to season it? Oh my God, look. We're not playing hockey, love. You need to keep it in the hole, you know. But I know that's quite typical coming from me, but it's not the point. I need to relax. You know, the fact that people love this sort of stuff, I don't understand why I keep getting tagged in videos like this. Right, surely that can claim for whiplash and being nauseous. Right, I'm seeing smoke come from it. Surely it's got to pop soon. You put it through trauma. It needs to release itself. Finally.
If you want to build a skyscraper over 200 meters tall, its foundation normally has to extend deep into the ground to keep the structure stable. But as construction begins, a major problem appears. The foundation runs directly into an existing subway tunnel. Building straight through it is impossible, so you come up with a smarter solution. Instead of fighting the tunnel, you split the building into 2 towers, leaving a giant atrium where the subway passes. The structural cores are moved to each side while a lightweight glass facade connects the towers, allowing the building to remain strong without disturbing the tunnel. However, a straight atrium stretching over 200 meters would feel narrow and overwhelming, so the atrium gradually twists 45 degrees as it rises, while widening toward the center to create a brighter, more open interior. To keep the 2 towers working together, ring-shaped sky bridges are added at several levels. They tie the towers into one structure while connecting the spaces on both sides. As a final touch, 2 spiral crescent-shaped openings are carved into the atrium, bringing in more natural light and creating a dramatic interior. And just like that, you've created the Lisa Soho in Beijing, a skyscraper famous for the world's tallest twisting atrium, cleverly designed around an existing subway tunnel.
Yeah, that's real smart.
Can you believe this? The reason airplane tires are so durable is not because the rubber is extra thick. It is because the tires are filled with a special gas, nitrogen. Inside airplane tires, nitrogen is very different from normal air. It contains no moisture and no extra oxygen. When a plane lands at extremely high speed, the tires are instantly compressed, heated, and deformed. If it were normal air, the moisture inside would turn into steam, causing sudden pressure instability. That would greatly increase the risk. But nitrogen is different. It is more stable, less reactive, and contains no water vapor. Even under high temperature and high pressure, its pressure remains far more controllable. That is why airplane tires can handle such enormous loads. Not because they are harder, but because the nitrogen inside keeps them stable. So here's the question. If nitrogen is so stable, why don't we just fill car tires with it too? The answer is simple. Cars can be repaired and refilled anytime. But for airplanes, a tire problem in the air or at a remote airport can be extremely dangerous and unacceptable. So nitrogen is not used to make things stronger. It is used to make them safer and more predictable. When a plane touches down, what really matters is not how hard the tire is, but the invisible gas inside it, keeping everything under control.
Nature's weirdest survival hack? It's actually a butt. When a wombat faces a predator, it hauls ass to its den and plugs the entrance with its rear. Its butt is made of thick, reinforced cartilage, a literal shield. It's not just bite-proof, it's a lethal trap. If a predator sticks its head in, the wombat smashes upward, crushing the intruder's skull. Brutal. right? Then there's the Antechinus mouse. These little dudes go nuts at maturity, turning into 24/7 mating machines. A single session lasts 14 hours. After, they immediately hunt for another female. Their bodies flood with hormones that stop them from eating or sleeping. They have one directive: mate. The catch? After 3 weeks, they literally drop dead from total exhaustion. Finally, the quokka. They look happy, but when endangered, they throw their babies on the ground as bait. The baby's screams draw the predator's focus. In that split second, the mom escapes. It's cold, but in a world of predators, the mom's survival is what matters to keep the species alive. Nature doesn't play by our rules. It just does whatever it takes to win. It is a crazy world, and survival is the only game that counts.
Yeah, I think every one of them was awfully weird.
A wealthy tourist once paid to shoot a human being from a hilltop in Europe. You see, during the siege of Sarajevo, Serb snipers surrounded the city and cut off every exit. Civilians sprinted across open streets while snipers hunted them from the hills, killing over 11,000 people, including 1,600 children. But the worst part is, some of those snipers weren't soldiers. They were rich tourists who paid to hunt humans for sport.
Yeah, them rich people do weird things, that's for sure. I think that looked pretty good.
Some soldiers would spray water on tanks, hoping the freezing cold would form a solid ice armor. They truly believed this ice armor offered extra protection and could absorb the massive impact of incoming enemy shells. But in reality, it didn't do jack. It was just a total myth. In contrast, other troops crafted fake decoys, dummy tanks, and wooden jeeps, using loudspeakers and noise recordings to create chaos. These were part of a secret World War II unit of audio engineers and skilled actors. Their mission? Use these props to bamboozle the enemy and make them freak out over nothing. They even faked radio chatter to mislead enemy scouts, making them waste tons of time chasing a phantom army that didn't exist. It was the ultimate genius con. Then, a Soviet soldier would slap a bucket on a tank barrel to scare off German troops. The Germans were terrified of Soviet IS tanks. The crazy part is the IS and T-34 looked identical. The only real difference was the muzzle brake. Since the T-34 lacked one, Soviets hung a bucket on the barrel. It was a genius hack that made them look just like the real deal. Sometimes a little bit of smart trickery is way better than raw firepower.
Boy, the things they can do.
Fun fact of the day. The name Wi-Fi is short for nothing. It's not short for anything. The name was created by a marketing company hired by the inventors of the technology to come up with a name that was, quote, a little bit more catchy than the previous name, which was IEEE 802.11b direct sequence. It was only later, after the establishment of the Wi-Fi name, that an artificial lengthening to wireless fidelity was used in certain branding material.
Yeah, I figured it meant something wireless, but guess not.
British soldiers back in the day had a wild reason for floating dummy troops down the river. Whenever the enemy spotted these floaters, they'd panic and immediately open fire on them like crazy. During WWI, they'd craft fake bodies out of canvas, slap on rubber heads, and paint them with charcoal. Under the cover of darkness, they'd let them drift into the enemy's camp, basically trolling them. Real soldiers would just kick back, use the enemy's muzzle flashes to pinpoint their position, and then flank them from the rear. Also, ever wonder why Soviet soldiers were welding water buckets onto their tank gun barrels? The IS-2 was one of the Soviet Union's heavy hitters in World War II, packing a massive 122mm cannon that could straight up wreck German Tiger or Panther tanks in one shot. Whenever the Germans saw an IS-2, they'd get super spooked. The funny thing is, the mass-produced T-34 tanks looked almost identical to the IS-2. The only real giveaway was the muzzle brake at the end of the barrel. So the Soviets started welding regular buckets onto those T-34 barrels to copy that look. From a distance, it was enough to fool the enemy and buy some tactical time.
That one there is pretty nifty too.
Why did German pilots put guns on top of their planes pointing up? Because back then, Allied bombers were super weak on the belly and had no defensive guns there. So the Germans mounted upward-facing guns inside to fly under the enemy and spray them. A total blind spot for the pilot, giving them no way to dodge or fight back. Plus, soldiers would install defensive turrets on the bottom of the bombers. Since enemy planes often attacked from below during World War II, and pilots couldn't see a thing, they put turrets on the plane's belly to defend. But the space was super tight, so the soldier had to curl up inside, and since it was freezing cold up there, only the smallest guys could fit. But it was the only way to stop the attacks. Also, German pilots would install a siren on their planes. Since planes would dive before bombing to adjust speed and angle, the faster they went, the louder it got. Pilots used the sound to judge the perfect time to drop the payload, and the siren would also scare the living daylights out of the enemy, making the bombing more accurate. Additionally, pilots would purposefully use their propellers to ram the enemy's tail. This actually happened when the plane was totally out of ammo. To stop the enemy from counterattacking, the pilot would just slam their plane into the tail of the enemy craft, causing it to lose its balance and crash. Then they'd just hit the eject button and bail out of the plane.
Never thought about that, pointing up so you can get them from underneath. Boy, they cover everything when they go to war, don't they? I like that idea too. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video and you learned anything from it, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like, subscribe, throw in some comments of what you liked, what you didn't like, and I'll be posting one of these every day. Thanks for watching.